Ladies and gentlemen, my name is
Scott.
Hey, yo. Is that his younger brother? That's gonna be
Jeff.
The cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
And you're listening to
all of the great action figures from our good friends at Hasbro.
the Fully Poseable
Have your own WrestleMania with all your favorite figures.
Wrestling Figure
Each sold separately from LJN.
Podcast.
And we are the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling.
Hey, welcome to episode 214 of the Fully Poseable Wrestling Figure Podcast, the longest running episodic wrestling figure podcast going today. For over 4 years, a revolutionary force in wrestling figure podcast entertainment. I think you're right, Scott. We need lightning behind it.
Yes, lightning and like just thundering music.
My name is Jeff. Sitting alongside next to me is my real life brother, not storyline brother, Scott. Scott, say hello.
Hello.
Scott, what is going on over there, man?
Well, lots, actually. But first, let me say that if you and I were a meme, the top frame of the meme would be you saying that line, like the past 4 years, a driving force, blah, blah, blah. I would be underneath that picture. I would be the bottom half saying that MF spittin'.
Celeste hates that opening now. She goes, "It sounds too cocky. I hate it." And I was like, it's not that bad. It's funny. It's poking fun. Come on, lighten up.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be fun. It's making fun of that 90s WWE thing that they were posting in 40 years, a revolutionary force in wrestling entertainment or something like that. I just thought I'd switch that up.
Yeah, we're bringing it back. See, we're bringing it back. But aside from that, Sourheads Bang. See, I took it back too to one of my old favorites. Had a Sourheads Bang today. And we, literally before recording, on your TV, Jeff, that like this just happened, we saw AEW figures.
Well, we do have that in the news segment. Are you teasing?
I am teasing, and I'm very, very excited to talk about that. So that'll be in the news segment, but enough putting ourselves over, Jeff. Let's get to talking about some figures and plugs.
If you'd like to get any of our shirts, head on over to Pro Wrestling Tees or whatamaneuver.net. You can also pick up 8x10s. Just slide into the DMs and I will get those all set up with you. You can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat, and the Book of Faces at Fully Poseable, Instagram Fully Poseable WFP. You can go back and listen to any of our past podcasts on fullyposeablepodcast.com, Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Please rate and review on iTunes. Like Scott this week, we got another 1-star.
Oh, so nice of them to show up every once in a while. Keeps us humble, keeps us in check.
So I do have to pull back the curtain. I did read this last week because I usually save them for the show, so I kind of don't know what I'm about to read. But for this one, I was like, you know what? I haven't checked our American reviews in a while. So I started scrolling through and I saw this. So let me get into it. Comes in from Biggie Dukes.
If that is his real name.
The title of this one is Self Marks, and again, it's a 1-star. These guys are ridiculous. Well, that's true. They spend half the show marking out over themselves. They are corny and boring. I tried to give them a shot, but I unsubscribed after 2 attempts to listen. And this next part is a quote. You can read this on a review. Quote, "I'll stick with the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. That's a much better wrestling podcast." End quote. So, as I was reading this last week, the first part I was like, okay, this guy gave us a shot. He listened to the show, he subscribed, and quickly unsubscribed after 2 episodes. Okay, we're not everybody's cup of tea. That's fine.
You can't please everyone, Jeff.
Correct. Then he hit us with that last one, and then I realized it was a troll. You had us at the beginning part. If you would have just said, I subscribed and then unsubscribed and dropped it at that, that's fair. That is fine. We weren't your cup of tea, like Scott just said. But when you hit us with that last line, we realized that you're a troll. And thank you for doing that because you helped our algorithm by dropping us a 1-star. So thank you. We appreciate it.
So when I first read this one, or when you read it to me, I should say, I was like, man, are we really self-marks? Like, do we sit here and completely put ourselves over? Like, aside from the jokey beginning, like, do we really put ourselves over? Like, I really pride myself, and I know you do too, in making this show really about the listeners and putting over other podcasts, not the one that he mentioned, but other podcasts We put over designers. We put over people with projects that we're passionate about. And I don't know, man. I think that's the part that bothered me the most. Like, it feels like to me, like any time that we're like marking out for ourselves, we really try to turn it around to say, well, we're doing that because of the listeners. Like, you guys make all of this possible, so it's really about you. So I don't know. That's kind of the part that really bothered me. But look, here's the thing. In episode 1, I said, if we suck, which we very well could, please tell us why. Don't just be like, you guys suck, period. Like, tell us why. Like, Boring, Just Boring was the worst review ever. At least this guy went into some detail. But then, like you said, Jeff, Biggie Dukes, if that is your real name, you exposed yourself. You mentioned another podcast. You had to drop that name in a review. You're a troll. Get back under the bridge. But to his points about corny, I'll take that. I'll take that. Like, we are. I'll admit it. But look, this is a wrestling figure podcast. What do you want, dude? Like, we're talking about wrestling figures. What do you want? You know what I mean? So if we self-mark, I don't know. Let us know, listeners. If you really think that about us, just let us know. We'll tone it down, I guess, like kind of turn down the volume at the beginning. But this dude's a clown. So anyway, let's look forward to the good reviews. Like you said, Jeff, that last part really exposed him. But I'm all about constructive criticism, and I'll take corny all day. We're a wrestling figure podcast. But the self-mark thing really got to me, and that's the one I'm like, man, if we are, I need to know. Because, like, there may be elements of the show that we need to turn down a little bit.
Dude, it's a troll. Don't even pay attention to it.
I understand, but what if we have listeners that are thinking the same thing that person was thinking? Like, that would bother me, because I really, like I said, I pride myself, and I know you do too, that this is really a show where we try to make it about the Fig Life community, our listeners, other podcasts that we're passionate about, projects and whatnot, that I really try to make it less about us and more about everybody else. And so that's the one part of it that really bothered me. And if we are getting that way, like, we need to be called out, but not from a troll.
But that's the thing, is I think our listeners would call us out for it.
Well, if they've been holding back, please let us know, because that's kind of stuff that we need to be aware of for sure.
Scott, it's a troll, dude. Don't worry about it. Don't even think about it. It's basically someone that's just, I'm going to just rile them up and basically throw out another podcast or whatnot. Dude, it's probably someone that wishes their podcast was just as successful as ours.
You know what? That very well could be. Very well could be.
Thank you, Biggie Dukes.
If that is your real name.
If you have any audio questions, or anything else at all, send them on over to fullyposeabledwfp@gmail.com. Scott, Fig Life Meetup 3, Tampa Stadium Wing House, 4 to 6 p.m., Friday, April 3rd. Did everybody get that? Well, let me say it again. Tampa Stadium Wing House, Friday, April 3rd, 4 to 6 p.m., right after WrestleCon, right before SmackDown. Come on over, have wings, have beer. Let's have a good time. That's all it's all about. Well, I mean, we're going to self-mark over ourselves, at the Tampa Stadium Wing House, but hey, we'll do it in front of everybody this time.
Well, exactly. I was planning on having humongous banners made, like the kind that WWE will normally hang on a stadium the day of WrestleMania. They'll put up like pictures of Becky Lynch or Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, whatever. I was thinking about doing something similar on the front of Tampa Wing House, but pictures of you and I, Jeff. In addition to that, if they have like a scrolling marquee in the front, I'll make sure it's just our names scrolling across the front.
Dude, you're thinking small. I'm putting one of those huge-ass banners on the stadium over in Tampa where WrestleMania is.
Excellent idea. You know what we should do, too? We should get a blimp. Fly over
yes.
Yep, and have our names just scrolling across it.
Yep. I can just see the banner now. Roman, Becky, Seth, Fiend, Scott and Jeff. Boom.
Yeah. Top billing indeed.
But we're not self-marking out over ourselves. Scott, we are not doing that.
I know. Settle down over there. But hey, we got to point out, too, that April 3rd, the day of the Fig Life meetup from 4 to 6 p.m., Tampa Stadium Wing House, also happens to be your birthday, Mr. Jeff Toon.
You keep bringing that up. Are you going to, I don't know. Do you have something up your sleeve?
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
I'm scared. I'm no-showing the event. I'm going to keep promoting it and no-show it.
We'll get you on FaceTime.
Oh, man. So, again, Tampa Stadium Wing House, Friday, April 3rd, 4 to 6 p.m. Again, right after WrestleCon, right before SmackDown. Let's just tell Fig Life stories, signing stories. Like Scott said last week, if you ran into a wrestler around Tampa and you want to share the story that you interacted with them, let's do that. It's just going to be a good time, just a little kickback time before everybody takes off to their next event. Like we said also last week, Scott and I are going to be hanging out afterwards. We're going to probably be hanging out with Travis and Brian Breaker, possibly. We'll see who else is going to be there hanging out past that 6 p.m. hour. But we want to spend the time with you guys from 4 to 6 p.m. before everything else. Scott, did you do any toy spotting?
I did. I did the usual swing from Big Lots over to Walmart, over to Target. You know, Motley Crue had a song, I believe it was on their Dr. Feelgood album, called SOS, and that stood for Same Old Situation. So now that you have that song stuck in your head, you can picture me driving around Tracy to those 3 spots, finding exactly the same thing as always. But, as usual, who comes through for Scott? The Fig Life. Tim hits me up and he's like, brother, I'm at Big Lots. What are you looking for? And I said, really, at Big Lots? If you find a set of the Old Elite AOP, I would really love a set of those just to open them up. I said, but really, I'm really looking for a Sherry and a Shayna. And he's like, dude, I got a Shayna for you. So that was awesome. I talk about him every week. The dude just comes through for me left and right. He's always on the road. He's traveling for his job, and he's always able to hit up the Walmarts, the Targets, now the Big Lots, and he's always coming through for me left and right. So he's got a Shayna for me. And in addition to that, huge thanks to Tim also, who you can follow on Twitter at @achairshot, came through big time for my co-host on Drunk Wrestling History. He scored him a Gorilla Monsoon figure. And Jeff, you know Ed pretty well. Ed's favorite of all time is Bobby Heenan. But Ed's favorite commentating duo of all time is Bobby and Gorilla. He loves Gorilla to death. And now he's got a Gorilla figure that he can open up. I know, calm down. I said open up. It's okay. Breathe. Breathe. You're not the one having to do it. It's Ed doing it. But it's going to go next to his microphone on recording days. So, with that said, I am now on the hunt for a loose Bobby Heenan Fan Central. I've got one on the wall. I can't bring myself to open it. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. So, if anybody out there has a lead on a loose Bobby Heenan Fan Central, I'm on the hunt, so let me know. But that is my toy spotting. Once again, the hashtag FigLife coming through big time for me.
So the past 3 years, I've had this little tradition on President's Day weekend. Right after the NBA dunk contest or 3-point contest, the festivities, I always go out and go toy spotting. And I'll be out from 7 to 11 or 7 to 10 or whatever. But I hit up a bunch of Walmarts and Targets. Well, I had to break that tradition this year because I got hit with a hefty vet bill on Saturday.
Oh, you didn't tell me about this.
No. So the dog wasn't doing well. And to kind of give you guys a little backstory, the dog is 13 years old. So he wasn't doing well the past couple days, meaning Friday and Saturday. So I had to run him over to the vets. Well, they had to check levels and do blood work and blah, 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 blah. Anyways, the vet bill came in a little hefty.
Yeah.
So I was sitting in the car and I was like, well, I'm not going to be going toy spotting tonight. I'm breaking the tradition because I have to get gas to go find nothing on the pegs. But it was a little tradition that I had continued for the past 3 years. Well, the tradition got broken this past week. So I did not do any toy spotting. Also, what sucks is I was planning on going down to the LAX Fan Fest. I had the rewards points through Southwest.
Yeah, which is the 29th, right?
Right. I had the points to do it, but now because of that vet bill, I don't have the money to get the autographs. I could probably get 1 or 2, maybe 3, but then I would have to bounce out of there and head home. So that kind of basically put the exclamation point of no on the LAX Fan Fest. So I will not be traveling down there next week.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry to hear that. But on that note, like I said, you didn't tell me about this. How's Gunner?
So he is doing well. We figured he had a little bug going through his system. They gave him some antibiotics and some medication, and he's doing okay. So He's doing a lot better. Again, we don't know how much longer we have with him right now.
Yeah, I get it.
So any little sign
yes.
of what we were seeing Thursday night, Friday, and then Saturday, we have to rush him to the vet almost immediately. Well, this time to the vet cost a couple dollars, so...
Yeah, well, and at this point, too, in his life, like you said, he's 13 years old. He's a big dog, too. It's making sure he has a quality of life. So you're right. Anytime he has symptoms like this, you've got to get him checked out to make sure he's not in pain. So, man, you did the right thing. Real life took over. No money for figures. No money to Toy Spot. But, WrestleMania is right around the corner, dude. WrestleCon. You save up your dimes and pennies. You go spend them there. But, on the 29th, you could find something locally to do, which the great Lars Ulrich, Jeff, is going to be in Milpitas on the 29th at Bevmo doing meet and greets for people. I think you have to buy a bottle of Blackened, which is their bourbon or whiskey. And I think if you buy a bottle, you get to meet Lars. I haven't seen all the details yet, but it was something to that effect. Shannon sent me a picture of it today. So that might be what I'm doing on the 29th.
Now, can you get anything signed?
That I don't know yet. I don't have all the details yet. I've still got to do some research. She gave me the picture while I was at work today. I haven't had a chance to really go and see kind of all the details and what's going on with it. But I do know Saturday the 29th, I don't even know the times yet. Lars will be at Bevmo in Milpitas, and it has something to do with Blackened, I'm imagining. And they did say meet and greet. So I'd imagine if you buy a bottle, you get a picture or an autograph, something. You cannot smash the bottle over his head, no matter how you feel about him. So that's right out. But yeah, he's going to be appearing at Milpitas Bevmo, the 29th.
You can't smash the bottle over his head?
You cannot. You cannot.
This is for Napster.
Yeah. Yeah. This is for Saint Anger, jerk. How dare you?
Oh. Yeah, why didn't you tune that snare drum?
Well, what's cool is Scott Ian's going to be at that San Jose Toy Show on March 7th. So I have the opportunity to meet two metal gods. Not wrestling gods, who is your Okada, but two metal gods back-to-back weekends, two guys from the Big Four, right? You got Lars from Metallica and Scott Ian from Anthrax. I could meet both back-to-back weekends. That would be pretty metal.
Okada.
Okay. Moving on.
O-D-A.
Okay, Jeff. Settle down.
So, Scott, after last week's episode, you mentioned that you wanted to do a segment called Good Things Happen to Good People. We don't have music for it, so we're just going to go right into it. So what was your meaning behind this?
So after we recorded last week, I went into the room to put all my stuff away from the podcast, computer, mic, all that good stuff. And AEW was up on the screen, and I saw that Jeff Cobb signed with AEW. Cody Rhodes came on this week and said that they're still kind of working out all the details. But it just got me to thinking back to your story when you met Jeff Cobb. You raved about how good of a dude Jeff Cobb is. And the guy keeps getting better and better. He was in PWG. He's wrestled for APW. He was wrestling for Ring of Honor. The guy's been wrestling all over the place. And now potentially has a contract. He's at least appearing on their television show with AEW. And I immediately got this sense of happiness. Like, man, here's just a good dude who's done everything the right way, and he's getting rewarded. He's on AEW now. The dude's getting paid. And it just made me so happy because that is a firm example of good things happening to good people. And it just made me happy. And I wanted to share that with the listeners. And another one, Jeff, and you and I gush about this guy all the time, Kevin Owens. And he's another one that when you go back and you listen to the stories we've told about him, every time we've met him, he has been incredible. He is great, not just with us, with you and I, Jeff, but with everybody we've seen him meet. He is great with kids. He is great with adults. He remembers faces. I can't guarantee he's going to remember names, but I'm sure he tries. But he remembers people. And believe me, that goes a long way with your fan base. And he was just such a great guy that even before he was in WWE, we raved about him all the time. We'd tell people all the time, if you ever have a chance to meet Kevin Owens, go out of your way to do it. Because the dude's awesome. Now, all these years later, he debuted in WWE NXT in 2014. All these years later, he's still plugging away in WWE doing his thing. But just another example of good things happening to good people. And it warms my heart, dude. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. Just a quick moment of positivity. Like, when you see something and it brings you happiness, you need to share it. And that moment happened with me with Jeff Cobb being on AEW TV. It warmed my heart, and I just wanted to share it with you guys that, man, when good things happen to good people, it just brightens your day.
Boy, that review really got to you, didn't it?
Well, okay, so I read or I heard about your review after seeing the Jeff Cobb thing. Like, one didn't spark the other, but it definitely got me thinking when that review came in. We need to spread some positivity after that garbage that came in earlier. So that story kind of helped out the review, but definitely seeing Jeff Cobb on AEW happened before that garbage. So anyway, it wasn't because of that, but it definitely puts a nice layer of dirt on that grave that was that review. So again, just good things happening to good people made me happy. Just wanted to share it with you guys.
I'm only joking, dude. No, I agree with you about Steen and Jeff Cobb. When you meet a wrestler, you can kind of sense if they're just there to make the quick $20, playing the Carney thing.
You're right.
Or if they're genuine. And the two guys you just mentioned are genuine. Those are two guys that you just, when you meet them, you're like, yeah, they're not after the $20 in my wallet. They're after, they're there to meet and greet, interact with you, talk to you, take pictures with you. I mean, all wrestlers do this, but they take their time with you. Ric Flair did that with our parents at a Walmart here in San Leandro.
Yes, he did.
Ric Flair saw our parents and was like, oh, these are my age. Let's interact.
Yeah.
But Ric Flair spent the time with our parents, had to go and get a couple of Ric Flair's books signed. And Ric Flair interacted with our parents and was very genuine. And our dad still has that same feeling about it. He's like, Ric Flair was just the nicest guy. He keeps saying that.
It's funny you say that they had to.
Yeah.
Technically, they didn't have to. You and I were working. Flair was signing at a local Walmart, and he was signing his book. And so I think mom and dad didn't have anything going that day. So we asked him, hey, would you guys mind? So they totally did. They went and stood in line and everything. And yeah, you're right, Jeff. To this day, dad still raves about Ric Flair.
Yeah. So I like how you did that, how you spun that about the good things happening to good people. And honestly, I wish better things would happen to Cesaro. He's another great guy. I mean, he's getting TV time, so I guess that's better than nothing.
But yeah, you're right. Cesaro's one of those guys. He has so much talent that they haven't even tapped into yet. It was like they just started to kind of scrape the surface of what Cesaro could do back at WrestleMania 30 when they had him win that Andre Battle Royal. But ever since then, like, it just, they're really missing the boat with Cesaro. I agree with you 100%, Jeff. He is capable of so much more, but again, he's on TV. Not everybody can be heavyweight champion, so you've got to kind of pick and choose your spots, but it's been a while. Cesaro was heavily featured when he was part of the Bar, but really since then he's kind of floundered. And Sheamus has come back and is looking pretty strong. I wouldn't mind seeing the Bar get back together, but yeah, Cesaro, absolutely. Great guy. You hope for nothing for the best for him. And you know what? Going to our listener base, Ethan has got big things coming his way. He just celebrated a birthday, as we talked about last week. 2020 hasn't been great so far, but 2020 is only going to get better for him. So another example of good things coming to good people, and I can't get enough of that. I love it.
Scott, we also got one other question somebody would like to ask us about prepping for WrestleCon. Do you want to take this one, Scott, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I'll take it. On Facebook, you and I interact with Travis Fowler pretty much on a daily basis, and he had a great idea. He said it would be cool if, like, for people that haven't been to WrestleCon before, if you guys could kind of talk about your past experiences and let us know how to prep for WrestleCon. And I thought that would be a great topic for conversation, that if you've never been, it can be overwhelming. I remember seeing Soda Hunter at WrestleCon a few years ago, and I was getting stressed looking at his workload. Like, he had so many figures. He had a hit list of people he was going in to knock off of his checklist. It was incredible. That dude was on fire that day. It stressed me out, but he was well prepared. So, Jeff, you've been to more WrestleCons than I have. What would be some of your quick suggestions right off the bat? Like, somebody says, I'm going to WrestleCon, what should I do? What are a few of the things that you would tell them how to prep for this big event?
Number one, prepping, stay at the WrestleCon hotel.
Good call.
The best thing we did last year was stay at the WrestleCon hotel, and that way Celeste and I were able to get all of our figures signed, run upstairs, come back downstairs, get more figures signed, run back upstairs. And that was so much easier than the previous years where I was staying 10 miles away, 15 miles away, and I'd have to drive in and either leave figures in the car because I couldn't carry them all in my duffel bag, or I would have to just take a bunch of them, like a big box, and take them in and then get them signed and then go back to WrestleCon the following day. So that's another thing. One other thing you got to do is get your paint pens ready. Have your top loaders, baseball card top loaders, have those with you because you're going to be testing out paint pens all over the place. Have your paint pens out ready to go when you get up to the wrestler. Right before you walk up, test it. All you hear in line is tink 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 because of the ball bearings inside the paint pens. It's pretty cool.
Yep.
It's like music to my ears. But have your paint pen ready. Get up there, get your figure signed, get whatever you're getting signed, and then bounce to the next person because, like for me this year, Friday is going to be my heavy day. So Friday, I got to get a ton of people signed. I may be having Celeste split off because I'm going to just be getting autographs from a lot of people, no photos. So I'm going to have Celeste run over and grab some people, send her with a bunch of cash. Hey, drop money down at Demolition, drop money down at Tito Santana while I run over here and get some people. Just kind of have a game plan of who you really want. If you're on a tight budget, pick and choose the names. Here you go. This is what I'm sticking to. Just go, get them, and then bounce after that, and then come to the Fig Life meetup.
Those are great suggestions. I would recommend a checklist ahead of time. Go through the WrestleCon guest list, write down who you want, and then off to the side, maybe do a maybe list. So start adding up, because I'm sure a lot of people are going with a budget. I know I am for sure. And right now, my dilemma, as we talked about last week, is not just the Hogan Saturday appearance versus the Charlie Caruso Friday appearance, but now Ron Simmons has been added. And I don't have a Ron Simmons autograph in my collection, and I love his Mattel Hall of Champions figure. So now I'm debating, okay, if I get Ron, then I don't go to WrestleCon on Friday. I just go on Saturday, but that leaves me getting everybody that I need on Saturday, and the money that I save from Friday, I can roll into my Saturday ticket, and I can get Nikita in addition to that. So it's kind of weighing it all out right now. So I've got a checklist going. I've got dollar amounts next to everybody. I've got the days that they're appearing. So I'm almost building my WrestleCon schedule and my wrestler checklist all at the same time. Next, go to your wall with your checklist, pull all of your figures off the wall, and rolling suitcase for WrestleCon. That would be the other piece I would give you guys. Duffel bags, yes. Rolling suitcases, even easier. But guess what? If you're at the WrestleCon hotel like Jeff told you, you could go down with like 3 or 4 figures, get them signed, walk them right back upstairs. Pretty simple. So that's another another part of the convenience of staying at the WrestleCon hotel.
Okay, the rolling suitcase is something I don't promote because of how tight-knit everything is within the WrestleCon building, that those suitcases, you're running into those things.
Oh, really?
Yes, I don't promote those because they are beneficial. They do help, especially if you are the person staying 15 miles away. But at the same time, WrestleCon is so tight-knit and it's shoulder to shoulder because people are in line for one person and you've got to get down this row and you got people coming at you. You got to dodge the line. If somebody has a suitcase, that just adds another obstacle.
Interesting. Okay, because I know my rolling suitcase came in huge handy at Wrestle Reunion because I had the bag filled, remember?
Oh, I remember. You were that guy.
I was that guy. You were so embarrassed. You were like holding like 2 figures. I had a big suitcase full. But it really came in handy, especially because I was getting a ton of autographs. But again, as Jeff mentioned, I can't stress it enough, the convenience of staying at that hotel. You could just keep going. It's in and out privileges to WrestleCon. So you take a few figures down, get them signed, take them back up to the room, come back down. It sounds like a pain, but like Jeff said, at least you're not having to be, as he said, quote unquote, that guy rolling your suitcase around or going with a big tote full of figures and then lugging it 15 miles back to your hotel. A lot to be said for staying at that hotel.
Now, this year is going to be a little different because WrestleCon is at George Steinbrenner, basically where the Yankees play their spring training games. The WrestleCon hotel, I believe, don't quote me on this because I've never seen the distance or I didn't do any Google Maps, but I think it's about a half a mile or a mile away. So it's going to be more than just getting up the stairs and then coming back down in an elevator.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it is in a bigger stadium, so things may be spread out. So maybe the suitcase will come in handy.
Rolling suitcase coming through.
So play it by ear. If you have a suitcase, be prepared for dirty looks because people are going to be trying to get through. I don't know how this is going to be set up. I've never seen WrestleCon in an outdoor event like this or in a stadium like this. It's always been in a ballroom, or it's been like last year in New York, they did it in 3 different stories in the Hilton Hotel, which was fantastic, by the way, but that's a whole different story. With it being outdoors, it might spread everything out a little bit better. So we'll find out when we get there. If you guys want to bring a suitcase, do it. You will get some dirty looks because people are going to be like bumping into it, and they'll get flustered. It may be warm and they're not hydrated or whatever it may be. People will be upset. But anyways,
they haven't had enough Jaeger.
Oh, you will by Friday, dude.
Okay. Look, I'm doing maybe 2 shots of Jaeger. So it's going to be one of those, like, I need to save it, like get a good group around and then wait. And then I'm only doing 2 at the meetup. I can't do a lot of Jaeger, dude. That sugar in the Jaeger just messes with me bad. And I'm not trying to forget the meetup. Like, I want to remember the meetup and not just look at pictures and go, oh yeah, I kind of remember that. Like, 2 shots of Jaeger tops. Don't try to talk me into more.
I'll be your handler.
Thank you.
And then I will give you more shots of Jaeger, followed with a Pedialyte chaser.
Why, you son of a...
Brandon's going to be offering you like 4 shots of Jaeger, and you'll be saying that same exact thing to him.
Yeah, I worry about Brandon. He shows up with the clear stuff. That's even worse.
With vials of it.
Yes.
Scott, we've got big news. So what do you say we jump into it?
Let's talk about that big news.
Oh, you gonna learn today.
Scott, before we get into the biggest news, let's talk about some other big news from FTC. The PCO rendering and head sculpt were shown off today. I love it. The head sculpt looked great. His eyes were kind of looking off into the upper left corner, had the black marker down the right eye. The hair sculpt looked good. Rendering looked good from his outfit. It will be in the blue and black outfit that PCO wears. So far, so good.
Yeah, it looks great, Jeff. I'm excited for FTC. This is a great addition to their ROH line and another great sculpt. They are truly killing it right now.
They got the champion in the line.
Yes, they do. They've got the heavyweight champion in the line. They've got the lead booker in the line, as we discussed, Marty Scurll. Really, really good time to be a collector of FTC, man. Their figures are just kicking butt. They look great. Well done by Chris and his team.
And one other thing that they came out with that I love, they came out with these briefcases, but they're carrying cases for your figures or for your FTC figures or any figures at all. And they came out with 4 different ones. They came out with a Legends one. They came out with a Rising Stars one. They came out with a Ring of Honor one and the Wrestling Superstore logo on one. I thought this was awesome. This is a great little callback to the carrying cases that we used to have for LJNs and Hasbros and Galoobs.
Yes.
Great call, bringing something back from the 80s and the 90s.
I totally agree, and I can actually vouch for their carrying cases. I've got one of their Batman ones. A few years ago, Mom for Christmas, or I should say Mom and Dad for Christmas, got me the original first series of the Batman TV show FTC figures, and she got me the Batman case to go along with it. It's got the nice plastic front on it with a full color image on it. You open it up, it fits the figures perfectly. So these carrying cases are nothing new for FTC to have, but the addition of the wrestling ones are new. And if you've got a collection of loose FTCs, it's a great way to put them up. And even if you just want to display the cases, full color fronts, they look great. But you're right, Jeff. It is a nice callback to those figure cases that we had as kids.
Scott, in Mattel news, network spotlights have been canceled.
At least we got our Wendy Richter.
Yep. All right, let's get into the biggest news.
The biggest.
AEW figures were shown off literally right as we were about to start recording on AEW television. Here comes the figures. Scott, do you want to go into them first?
Well, I do, but can we talk about how disappointed you are right now?
I'm not disappointed. They look good. You can hear it in my voice, right?
Oh yeah, you sound ecstatic.
I've preached this the past 2 weeks. I don't want to go into it again. It's just it's the uniformity of the figures today. And they look good. I love the way Kenny looked. He's going to come with the jacket. I love the way Cody looked. He came with the sledgehammer. Brandy looked good. Bucks. It's just that same scale. It's repetitive. It's over and over. I'm going to buy them, so you guys got my money. I just wish that something would pop where it would be in a different scale. I'm not disappointed in the way the figures look. I'm not disappointed in the way the figures were presented. I love the little thing they had on AEW television. I just wish figures were in a different scale. I really, really do. It's one of those, cool, we're getting figures, but they look exactly the same as everything else that I'm looking at on the shelves right now. There's nothing different.
Well, Jeff, I understand your disappointment, but look, as we discussed last week, that scale equals money. Wicked Cool absolutely did the right thing. Put them in the elite scale. They are elite figures with all of the same points of articulation. And I think that they look really good. Jeff, you have the lineup in front of you. We are getting Kenny Omega with the jacket. So again, these are basically elite. These are elite figures with elite accessories. You're getting Cody with the sledgehammer. You're getting a Brandy Rhodes. We don't know what Brandy's accessory is going to be. It would be awesome if it was Pharaoh. Don't know what they're doing for Brandy's accessory. We're getting the Young Bucks, who I can only imagine are going to have their entrance jackets with them as well. They were not shown, just a guess. We are getting El Champion or La Champion.
Le Champion.
Le Champion with the AEW heavyweight title. And in addition to that, they did show a ring. So they're also going to be releasing a wrestling ring. We always had questions about, are we going to have accessories? What are they going to come with? Is there going to be a ring? Yes, there is going to be a ring. They showed it. It's got the apron on the side, or the ring skirt on the side with AEW on it. It has stairs. Looks good. It looks to be in scale with the figures from the quick shot that I saw of it. And I've got to say, I am excited. A lot of people were kind of going outside the box a little bit. I know I did when I made my guess of who they would release originally. But they played it real safe here, right? We're getting a Jericho, which it hasn't been that long since we got a Mattel Elite Jericho. We're getting a Cody, which it's been a minute since we've had a Cody Elite. But we're getting the Young Bucks. Jeff, when we saw that they were on AEW television, these figures, I had you pause at the Young Bucks because I was really excited to see the sculpting job that the Young Bucks were going to get. So you paused the television and held your phone up to it so I could see. And I've got to say, I'm disappointed. The Young Bucks are my least favorite out of all the other. I think the other ones look great. The likeness on Kenny Omega, nailed it. Brandy's good. Cody looks great. But the Young Bucks, I just feel that they missed. And I'm going to say it. If you want Young Bucks figures, buy the FTC ones because they look better.
Boy, you really do not like them, do you?
Well, I don't hate them, but I'm disappointed because I was expecting more. I saw the likenesses and I wasn't blown away. Now, again, this could be a prototype thing. They may be making changes on the fly. We know for sure they're coming out in 2020. But I was hoping for more. I was hoping that these would be, because so far in the Young Bucks figures, we've had the FTC and we've had the LJNs, correct?
If you want to count micro brawlers too.
Okay, let's throw micro brawlers in there. To this point, the FTC ones were the best ones. I was really hoping that Jazzware's Wicked Cool would top what FTC had done, but based on the still shot that you showed me off the TV, Jeff, I'm going to say no. And again, changes could happen. They could get better. But based off of what I saw, the FTC figures are better than the Jazzware's Wicked Cool ones.
Bold statement right there, dude.
Hey, FTC did it better, at least from what I've seen. Again, not a finished product. We'll see when the finished product hits. But early look, FTC's better.
What I think is funny is Nick has an expression on his face in the Jazzware figure, and Matt doesn't. Just like the FTC figures, Nick had an expression, Matt didn't. So I thought that was kind of an interesting, that it was almost carbon copy of like facial expressions to the Jazzware figures. I thought Nick looked good. I was impressed with Nick.
Okay.
I will agree with you on Matt. I need to see it in person before we make this statement, but the Matt wasn't the best. I want to see it up close though. Jericho looks good. Cody looked good. Brandy looked good. Omega looked fantastic.
Yeah, I think Omega might be the figure of the set, especially with that jacket accessory too. That thing is awesome.
And then the other thing is the stomach articulation area is similar to the figure arts. They have that same kind of stomach kind of outline. It's not elite where it goes down like the side and abdominal walls. What?
Say it with me.
Abdominal.
Now put it together.
Chicky nuggies.
Very good.
So it's going to be that kind of like that articulation where it goes around the stomach area, like kind of lower chest, upper abdominal area.
Yeah. Very good, Jeff. Yeah, you actually caught that right away. And that was a great catch on your part.
And again, please don't think that I'm not excited about these figures.
Because you're not.
It's
tempered. It's tempered excitement.
You have spoken for me for 40 years now. You are not speaking for me tonight. On February 19th, you are not speaking for me today.
Ooh, look at you being a big man. Jeff put on his big boy pants.
Then I'm going to see you on Saturday, and I'm going to be like, okay, what's up, dude?
Hey, what's up, dude? Look, let's temper expectations a little bit. You kind of had a feeling. I know you didn't want this scale specifically, but and I know we discussed this last week, but let Jazzwares and Wicked Cool make their money on this scale, which is a proven winner for toy companies. And then if this line is successful, which it really should be, the figures are great, then they can start to play around with some, as we call, gimmick lines, right?
Grip and flips.
Tough talkers.
Yes. See, this is where the money is at, right there. Tough talkers, grip and flips. Where was it where you interchanged parts into like superhero type thing?
Oh, like the Build-A-Figures.
Yes, Build-A-Figures. That is money.
Love it. Dude, what if they bring out Pillow Buddies?
Please?
Yeah. No, I think that would be great. So let them make their money. Who knows? They may even do like retros, right? We can all agree that the Young Bucks figures in this line are better than those nasty LJNs that came out.
Yes. That
was like an abomination. There's your abomination. Abomination to the LJN line entirely. Like those figures are just bad. But I think a lot of people are excited for this line. I think a lot of people expected that scale that is being shown because everything is along those lines right now. Let's think as kids, the dream matches you're going to have with AEW versus Luchas versus NJPW versus WWE in whatever ring you choose. It's going to be great. We're going to see so many kids playing with their wrestling figures, and they're going to have so many different dream matches they can put together. I am so envious, and I wish I had this kind of assortment all on the same scale when I was a kid, because it would have been fantastic. I would have had crazy matches with what the kids are being given today. I love it. I think it's a great assortment. I like the scale, and let's hope that they sell well. I'm really curious to see what kind of retail showing they have. Are we talking Walmart and Target? Or are we talking more heavy on like their website? Is Pro Wrestling Tees going to carry them? There's all these questions. We need answers.
Okay, that part I will agree with. I do like how you can get the Penta and Phoenix from Boss Fight and the Young Bucks from the AEW figures and be able to have that matchup. So, okay, that part I do like. But integrating dream matchups of Revival versus Young Bucks, it doesn't interest me.
Are you kidding?
Dude, I enjoyed being able to play with Remco's and then go over to LJN's and have AWA for an hour and LJN's WWE for 2 hours. I enjoyed that.
Man, but if you had been able to put your LJNs and your Remco's together, you could have had a Flair versus Hogan match in the 80s before that was even a real possibility. And that's what kids can do now. They can have the Revival versus the Young Bucks or the Usos versus Penta and Phoenix. There's all these great matches that can happen. You could have Flair versus Okada if you want, and it's all the same scale. You don't have to use your imagination at all that they're the same size, because they are the same size. I think, in my book, that is an A+. As a wrestling figure collector, as a kid, A+ is across the board. And look, I do like that scale. I see where you're coming from, that you want some variety. Let that play in the gimmick lines, assuming they make money with these and can make the gimmick lines. Let them make their money first, come out with the gimmick lines, but I'm a big fan of giving these kids the dream matches. I think that's the best part.
Well, according to Twitter right now, everybody is loving it, so...
Of course, because the figures are really good, dude. I really like them. I think it's awesome that they're putting the AEW heavyweight title with Jericho. Big fan of that. Hopefully at some point down the line we get tag belts if they release SCU. And, we'll know more in the next coming months, but for sure, we're getting these figures in 2020, and I can't wait to see how they're going to be distributed. Because we all know a certain company out there that has distribution problems, don't we, Mattel?
Who's that, Scott?
No, I just said.
Is it Marvel Legends? That's what I hear.
Yeah.
I don't collect them, but I hear that.
Yeah, I never see any Marvel Legends on the shelves.
I don't want to bring down the happy moment of those figures being shown, so I'm going to just leave it at that.
Look, I think AEW has finally entered kind of the big time, right? Because when WWE got huge in the mid-'80s, it was a perfect storm of Hulkamania and merchandising and the genius of Vince McMahon. Well, now AEW, they've got their television deal. They've got action figures now, or wrestling figures. Next step would be video games. And they are really building themselves up. And I want them to succeed. I think getting a wrestling figure line is definitely a step in that direction. To me, it's always been a huge part of being a wrestling promotion. You got to have figures. So now that step, that's one thing you can take off the checklist. Next is video games. Next is a ton more merch and t-shirts, and just make yourself that machine that pumps out product. But it's good to see AEW stepping up and making themselves real. Like, now they have wrestling figures. They are legit.
Scott, that rounds out the talk of the news. What do you say we jump into that listener segment?
Let's do it. Let's talk to the listeners.
And I just want to hear from my people. Tell me, can I hear from my people? I just want to hear from my people. And I just want to listen to the listeners.
Scott, before we jump into the listener segment, please talk about FOCO.
Yes, as you guys know, we talked last week that we are partnering up with FOCO. And through March 12th, on their website, any purchase that you make at FOCO, FOCO.com, you can save yourself 10% off. And again, it's not just on the WWE line. It's on any product on their website, FOCO.com. Save yourself 10% at checkout. Use code WFP, as in Wrestling Figure Podcast, 10. Again, checkout. Use code WFP10. Save yourself 10%. And Jeff, do you want to prove you're the undisputed World Heavyweight Champion of WWE fandom? Of course you do. FOCO.com is here to help. With FOCO's WWE bobbleheads, you can visit Suplex City with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, let in The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and break some glass with Stone Cold Steve Austin. FOCO's line of WWE bobbleheads includes all your favorite superstars and legends from then, now, and forever, including Becky Lynch, sold out, The Rock, Ric Flair, sold out, John Cena, Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, Ronda Rousey, Andre the Giant, and more. These bobbleheads from FOCO are handcrafted and hand-painted to depict the biggest names in sports entertainment, making them must-haves for fans and collectors alike. Don't miss out on these awesome collectibles. Head to FOCO.com now. That's FOCO.com. And again, at checkout, WFP10. Save yourself 10%.
Love being part of that FOCO family, Scott. Scott, let's jump into the audios. First question comes in from Deontay. Uh-oh, somebody getting these hands?
Oh, dude, I haven't heard from Deontay in a while. I'm excited about this one.
What's going on, Fully Poseable? You know, it's your boy Deontay, and I got a little bit of kind of a wish list for you, if you will. Now, I know a lot of times you guys always talk about what figures you'd like to see, gobbledygook, or all that good stuff, but I'm going a little bit, I guess, different. What are 5 figures or 5 wrestling type of toys that you would like to see that you know will never, ever get made? And so this is not like a possibility, something that got canceled. It's that you know in your heart will never, ever get made. Now, these are all coming from as if Mattel was to make them. We're not throwing out any other companies as of right now, unless you want to go outside the box. So I'm going to start with number 5. We're going Ruthless Aggression, baby. Give me a prime 2004, 2005 Rene Dupree. I want an elite Rene Dupree with the French flag and Fifi. Maybe not impossible, but that's something I always wanted. Now we're going to go to the next one here. I would love myself. Give me the faces of Nova. And what that's going to be is I want a big giant oh man, this is a family friendly show. Give me a giant box, and I want in one side of it, I want to have Hollywood Nova, ECW, BWO style, and on the right side, I want me a Simon Dean, like in packaged riding the what's that gimmick called, the Segway thing, like Paul Blart rides, and I want him to have his bag with him, and also I need like a little stash of vitamins with him. I would love it. I love Simon Dean. I love that Jax figure that they came out with him, and I love BWO. Next up, give me at number 3, I want a Epic Moments or some type of set for Jamie Noble. I want Mattel to make a replica trailer park, and I want the trailer park to be big enough to fit the figure inside, and I want Jamie Noble to be in his cut-off, jeans that he would wear, the jorts, the knee pads. I need Cruiserweight title, and I need Nydia to come with them, just like it's like 2003, baby. Give that to me. I love Jamie Noble, one of the most underrated dudes of all time. Give me that. Number 2, most people already know where I'm going with this. Give me that Hard Body Mahal WWE title reign, epic set, epic moments, baby. Give it to me. I need a die-cast white limo with Hard Body Mahal packaged inside the limo, sticking out halfway, holding the title like he did on SmackDown with the turban, and I need a magic carpet too. Go ahead and give me the gimmick carpet. You can include that somewhere in the package. I know it wasn't a part of the scene, but I need a carpet package with my Hard Body Mahal. Give that to me, man. I would pay a ridiculous amount of money for it. Now, last but not least, I'm sorry this is going long, but it's going to be worth it, baby. Go ahead and give me number 1. I need a Hard Body Mahal alarm clock. And you're probably thinking, man, Deontay, what are you talking about? I want old school 90s style animated Hard Body Mahal from the chest up, an alarm clock, right? And his chest is going to be like a platform. So that way it can sit on your nightstand. And I need him just, as he is already, just clanging and banging, swole as heck. And I need his arms to be in like a flexing pose, and sitting on top of his arms, right there where like his biceps are, I want each Bollywood boy. So one on the right, one on the left. And so that way when your alarm goes off, it plays. Either you could play a Hard Body song, or you can play the Bollywood Boy song. And like as it's playing, Hard Body's like doing a flexing motion, like back and forth, and the Bollywood Boys are dancing while they're sitting on top of his muscles. I'd pay $300. I'd pay $400 for that, to be honest. Make it limited. Everybody's paying $74,000 for the Fiend title. No, bro, we need a Hard Body Mahal alarm clock. That's it for me. I took up too much of your time. I appreciate everything you do. Peace out.
Scott, we can't follow that.
How can you? There's no way. Number 1 was an alarm clock? Come on, dude. I can't top that.
We need to give Deontay his own show on the Fully Poseable Entertainment Podcast Network.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt. If we were like a late night talk show, like Deontay would be our nightly guest, and he would have his own segment to do his thing, like wish list. Like that kind of just became Deontay's segment. Like next to a Lars Sullivan toothbrush, I can't think of anything else I'd want. Like I can't top Deontay's offerings.
Why a Lars Sullivan toothbrush?
I'm sorry, a Lars Sullivan electric toothbrush.
Oh, why is that?
I don't know. Get your teeth clean. Make them super white.
Alrighty. So I was making notes while Deontay was talking through that fantastic audio. So things that I would like to see get made that would never, ever get made. I would like to see Pepe. Remember Pepe?
I do.
I would love a Pepe stuffed animal.
Okay, I like that. And I like how we're going outside of figures here. We're thinking like 1980s WWE merch. Right? Like, I'm actually surprised that an honorable mention on Deontay's list was not a Hard Body Mahal workout set. Like in the 80s, we got the Hulk Hogan workout set. Why not in the 2020s, a Hard Body Mahal workout set?
I would also love a Men on a Mission bobblehead. So like 3 Men on a Mission, just all of them.
Can I make a suggestion on the bobblehead?
Yes.
We also need a D'Lo Brown bobblehead.
Didn't they make one?
Did they? I don't know.
I want to say they did back in the 2000s. Somebody will correct us on that one.
In the world of crazy wrestling merch, it would totally make sense if there was a D'Lo bobblehead. But I'm sorry, Men on a Mission bobbleheads, continue.
As for action figures, I would love a Von Erich set.
Long overdue. Yes, okay, we got Mattel Legends of Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich and Kevin Von Erich, but we didn't get David, we didn't get Mike, we didn't get Fritz, we didn't get Lance, we didn't get Chris. These are the ones we need to happen.
Something else that I was thinking about while Deontay was talking, I would love a marker. You know those movie set markers?
Yes.
That is gold dust.
Oh, good call. Okay.
So these are things that will never get made, but actually are kind of cool. So that would be something else. And for the fifth one, I have no idea. Scott, why don't you take it?
One thing that I've always wanted on figures that I know will never happen again, blood. Because there has been a history of blood in wrestling that really tells a story when done properly. You bleed every match, it gets old after a minute, right? But when blood is used properly, like WrestleMania with Austin and Brett, Becky Lynch getting her nose busted open, even though it was accidental, she got her nose busted open, and it created a moment. When used properly, blood can really help sell or tell the story. So I really, and somebody had actually brought this one up, and I haven't gotten over it yet. We kind of did a wish list on figures. Becky Lynch with the broken nose. Or a 2-pack of Brett and Stone Cold with Stone Cold covered in blood. Or you could even do an alternate head hidden behind something in the package, but you know it's back there. It tells such a story sometimes that, man, if they did it on a figure, it would just make so much sense. And I know Mattel will never ever touch blood. But again, if this list is something that we know is not going to happen, that would kind of be what I'd be looking for. But when you start thinking outside the box, like earlier we mentioned with AEW maybe making pillow buddies, I would love to see those come back. I know Mattel kind of tried it, didn't have the best offerings, but I would love to see those make a comeback. And we had the Hardys that were available for a while. They did AJ Styles, but I would love to see like a full force comeback on the pillow buddies. I think that would be great. Trying to think what else. Betting. WWE betting, I think would be cool. Like let kids put sheets on their bed with all the superstars on it. I think that'd be awesome. Does that even exist anymore?
700 thread count.
Yeah, that's a good number. That's a solid number. So then you're not buying it for your kids. You're actually putting that on your king size bed. Because 700 is pretty comfortable, my friend.
Or how about the thread count equals Goldberg's win streak in WCW? Was it like 186?
Nah, dude.
186 victories or in a row or something.
Who wants less than 200 thread count? Like that's what you give your kids, right? That's what you give your kids. No, I like where you're going with the 700, dude. I love the off the wall stuff. And who is it? PPW that does kind of the off the wall merch sometimes. Yes. Yeah, this would be a great one for them. I actually hope they're listening. They heard Deontay's offerings because those are fantastic. I love them. But I really think that blood is so well used in wrestling when done properly that it really should translate over to figures. And I love that FTC back in the day, they did those variants that had blood on them. But it would be cool if Mattel could even broach that and just give us the alternate head and put it behind something in the packaging, but as a collector, you know what's back there, and you can't wait to open it up and see the job that they did on it.
Well, actually, I was just listening to the PPW podcast before we started recording tonight, and Steve and Eric were talking to him. They were just throwing questions back and forth, and Eric told a story about how he stole a WWF air freshener. They used to make WWF air fresheners for the cars.
Yeah. In fact, we just gave away a Sable one on Drunk Wrestling History.
Oh, okay. So, well, they had Warrior, Savage, and I forget who else he said. I want to say Hogan or something. So anyways, he was at an AutoZone and he picked up Warrior and he kind of looked around and he put it in his pocket. And so I guess his dad was about to leave and this worker comes around the corner and he goes, "Hey kid, what's in your pocket?" And so his dad got defensive. Eric's dad got defensive. And he was like, "Don't you accuse my kid of stealing," and blah, blah, blah. And I guess the worker and the dad were kind of going back and forth. Eric was standing behind the worker. Eric had one split second. He took the air freshener out of the pocket and tossed it into a little open area. And so he goes up to the worker and he goes, "Yeah, there's nothing in my pockets." And he kind of shows him his pockets and he goes, "All right." So they just left.
Nice save.
Yeah, so that was actually a fun listen. I had never heard that story before, but they told it again on this episode. So, Deontay, let's get back to Deontay. Thank you for sending that in. That's kind of fun thinking outside of the box. That's just regular figures. We did throw in some figures. Scott, next question comes in from my tag team partner, Randy. Let's see what he's got to say.
What's up, guys? It's Jeff's tag team partner, Randy. I was driving to work and I was listening to the podcast, and there was another mention of Barbara. And it got me frustrated because I just want to know what happened to Barbara. And I feel like a lot of the other members of the community want to know as well. Like, is she working at another retail store? Is she dead? Did she find the love of her life and move to another state? Does she collect anything? I don't know. These are questions that I want to know the answers to. And it's driving me nuts, and I've got to know. So I propose, with your blessing, that we open up some kind of PayPal account for friends and family, or donate money to you guys, PayPal, friends and family, to hire a private investigator to figure out what happened to Barbara. I don't know how much a private investigator is in California. I'm pretty sure it's more expensive than it is here in Louisiana. But I wanted to gauge some interest. I've got questions. If you got to sell t-shirts that talk about Barbara, all proceeds going to people or to finding Barbara, I'm okay with that too. I just got to know. I'm tired of wondering whenever I meet someone and they introduce themselves and their name happens to be Barbara, I immediately go to, what happened to Barbara? I want to know, everybody else wants to know too. So my question is, what do you think the odds are of us getting some money together, pulling some money together, the Fig Lifers, and figure out what the hell happened to Barbara? Possible interview with Barbara, if we can find her. I'm down for that. I'm excited just thinking about it. So let me know what you think. Hashtag Fig Life. Adios.
A private investigator in California. Add about 3 or 4 zeros after the first initial number.
Pretty much, yeah.
Scott, that would be fun if we could find Barbara. I mean, like, how would we even go about it? Because we never even got her last name.
No, I have no idea what her last name was. We were strictly on a first name basis. You know, the name tag doesn't show the last name. So I really fear worst case scenario. Like, man, if we get a PI and he goes out and he comes back and he's like, guys, she's not around anymore. Oh, dude, like, that would just crush me. Like, I almost feel I'm better off not knowing. But then Randy said interview. And that immediately piqued my interest. Like, it would be so great to get back in touch with her and be able to record and get her stories about stocking shelves, because she mainly worked in the boys section. I rarely saw her over in the girls section or in, like, the young kids section or even, like, the board games. Like, her area, and this was until I stopped going to that Toys R Us in Hayward, her section was the boys section. She was always working in there. I would love to get her stories about, like, not just wrestling, but like G.I. Joe, He-Man, Transformers, Mask, you name it. Silverhawks, any of those boys lines from the 80s, 90s, and even 2000s. I would love to hear her stories about them. But then I worry about worst case scenario. But then I'm like, how great would it be just to be able to tell her how much of a role or how big of a part she had in our childhoods? That would be amazing.
It's funny, too, because I had a warehouse job that was literally down the street from that Toys R Us, and I would stop off at that Toys R Us all the time. And I would walk in, and remember that desk that would be off to the left when you first walked in?
Yes.
She would either be right there or she would be over at one of the cash registers or, like you just said, in the boys section. I would always walk in, but she never recognized me because she mainly dealt with you.
Right. You were kind of like my sidekick.
Right. Her and I never communicated. She always dealt with you, so she would probably recognize you. She never really recognized me when I would go in and stop off after work and jump into that Toys R Us. I don't think she really recognized me. I would say hi to her, smile. I kind of remember her, from going in there all the time, even before I started working at that warehouse job. But it would be kind of awkward being like, hey, you remember Scott? Dude used to call you twice a day, every day you worked back, I'd say about 85 to about 93, 94.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm his brother.
She became part of our family.
She did, dude. And it's funny, like Dad said when we had the parents on, Dad was like, "Oh, Barbara, you guys called Barbara, and then Barbara had the figures, and Barbara." Yep. But that's what it was. Is Barbara literally was our handler. She was our dealer. She was our middleman that would stash these figures aside and would wait for us to get there because she knew that we would be there by 5 p.m., 4:30 p.m., or if we had to stop by the laundromat that the parents owned, then it would be about 6 p.m., but she knew we were coming in.
She was our dealer that fed the addiction that was wrestling figures, be it LJNs, Remco's, the early days of Hasbro, because then when Toys R Us kind of stopped getting those in, we switched over to Castro Village Toy Shop, and John became the dealer that fed the addiction that was Hasbro's. But Barbara really was like the third member of our team, because without her, we don't get the early word on when figures are there, and we don't have anybody holding them for us when they do show up. Barbara did all that. I'd walk in the door, I'd be like, "All right, dude, let's go see Barbara." Like, you were the little beaver to my hillbilly Jim. Like, you just be running right alongside me, like, "Let's go see Barbara. She's got our figures." That would be incredible to find her. I would love it. But I fear worst case scenario. But it would be great to do an interview with her and just get some of those stories. And that was a great question by Randy. Does she collect? Like, would there be any chance that she maybe collected stuff from the 80s, just took it home and left it in a garage or something, just in the package? Like, I didn't even think about that ever. And then he brought it up. I'm like, oh man, like, what if she does have like a garage full of 80s toys?
Thank you, Randy. Scott, do a Facebook search. How about that?
I'll try. Barbara Toys R Us. Let's see what happens.
Thank you again, Randy. Scott, next question comes in from Christopher Dean. Hey guys, hope you're doing well, full of bangs and snacks. I promise just 2 questions. Sort of bringing back an old segment, but what if you had a carte blanche with talents current and past? What 5 would you like to see made by Mattel who haven't been made or not made in a while?
Hold
Tag
on.
teams.
Time out.
Carte blanche.
Let me rewind. Did you say carte blanche?
I apologize. My German is way off today. I am sorry. Back to Christopher's question.
Your Russian sucks, dude.
Tag teams count as 1. You chose the format 2-pack, single, or multi-pack. For me, it goes like this. Number 1, Hollywood Blondes. Number 2, WCW Saturday Night heel Barry Windham. Ooh, that's good. Number 3, current day Edge. Number 4, Kaylee Ray with UK women's title. Number 5, Mustache Mountain, Tyler Bate and Trent Seven with NXT UK tag team belts and matching satin jackets a la Ziggler's from his last Elite. That's question number 1. What do you say we tackle that, Scott? You want to hit 2 and I'll hit 3?
Let's do it.
Scott, I'll give you my first one, obviously, is Rock and Roll Express, so that's an easy one. Christopher also said one that has not been made in a while. I would love to see another Kevin Von Erich.
Very good. So tag team, I'm actually going to second Chris and say Mustache Mountain, but I'm going to take Mustache Mountain with the jackets and their British Bulldogs inspired tights that they wore at the takeover. I really, really love Mustache Mountain as a tag team. I think they're incredibly underrated. I would actually love to see them on the NXT roster, considering how depleted their tag team division is. Mustache Mountain would be a great addition to NXT. I could totally see them as tag team champions too. But I loved when they came out with the British Bulldogs inspired tights. I think that was great. One that hasn't been made in a while that I want to see again. Give me Vader, please.
Oh, good call on Vader. Oh, by the way, what would your Vader come with? Would he come with that mask again, like his Elite?
Yeah, yes. It would not be a re-release of his Mattel Legends. If anything, it would be a straight-up re-release of his Elite that came out, what was like Series 30 or something. So it's been a long time since we've had an Elite Vader, and I think he's long overdue for a figure.
And I guess my last pick will be Midnight Express.
I love it. I love it.
It's a wish list that you can go back to episode 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it was. We threw it in a wish list, but it's one that we do want to see made, and we would love to see made.
Which Midnight Express?
I was never a fan of Condrey.
Okay.
I would go Bobby Eaton and Sweet Stan.
Oh, okay. So not Condrey and Randy Rose.
No.
Gotcha. Good choice.
Although that is unique.
Very unique, but definitely a peg warmer if they did it. Stan Lane and Bobby would definitely sell some figures.
Got a second question from Christopher. I'm horrified with that Alexa Bliss basic.
Oh, gosh. The rest of us are too.
We agree.
Yeah. Sold.
He said that head sculpt is unacceptable for Mattel. Is this the worst figure they have ever had? I do like the idea of her in her host pantsuit because it's cool to get figs in regular clothes, but Jeff, you are right on when you said, how'd this get signed off on? Oh, Scott, tell them what you told me, what it reminded you of. All right, guys, have a good week, and I hope we by now have at least some renderings, which we do, of AEW figures. Hear about what's replacing the network spotlight and Super 7 prototypes. Take care. What were you supposed to tell us about the Alexa Bliss?
Well, we had actually told the story about Ethan going to an Alexa signing where she was signing that basic, and even she commented on how bad it is. Now, people have been head swapping because Christopher's right. It's great to get Alexa in her pantsuit set because that's not a common figure. But people have been doing head swaps to take the awful head off and put a better Alexa head on there, making a really good Alexa figure. So Christopher and I were texting the other day, and we were talking about how bad that figure is. And I made the comment that with as like piercing as the eyes are, I said it reminded me of the haunted heads at the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland, where when you walk by them, they follow you. Like
yes.
that head is so creepy on Alexa. Like I would imagine walking by it in the aisle and just watching it follow you as you walked by. Like it's very bad. But if we had to think of a Mattel figure, and I'll even go basic to basic here, to match up to that Alexa, how about that horrible Lana figure that they did in that jacket a few years ago? Like, it was so bad we were recommending turning the figure around in the package and selling her that way, so at least we could say how good the jacket is.
Good point. I forgot about that one. I always go back to the Sasha Banks faces. Those things were hideous.
Oh, yeah.
The figures were so bad. They're getting better, but by the way, speaking of, I actually got the Natty figure before everything happened this past weekend. I actually purchased the Natty figure off of Amazon.
Oh, nice.
And I just received it today. Dude, that face sculpt is fantastic.
Yeah, Mattel typically does a really, really good job on the Natty figures. Kudos to them. And like you said, Jeff, their sculpts are definitely getting better, which is really discouraging when you see this Alexa figure released in a recent basic series and you're like, man, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And it's, come on, guys, stop releasing figures like that. It's bad. That Alexa should, like you said, Jeff, have never gotten signed off on.
Thank you, Christopher, for your question. Scott, last question of the week comes in from Josh Thompson. Hey, Jeff and Scott, JT here back with that weekly question. This week I wanted to ask you guys, if Super 7 got NJPW's permission to make more figures of their guys, who would you like to see in a second series? I'd like to see Kota Ibushi, Kenta, and Lance Archer. While I'm all for the second New Japan series having more mid-card guys, I think Super 7 needs to squeeze out a Kota Ibushi at least. He's very overdue for a wrestling figure. I'm still mad that Kenta, or as we called him in WWE, Hideo Itami, wasn't able to get an elite out before he left. So I'd like to see Super 7 change that. Lance Archer is another one long overdue for a wrestling figure. His last and only release figure was from the Impact line when he wrestled as Lance Hoyt, and his WWE run was so short and forgettable, Mattel didn't even give him a basic. Super 7, please, I'll put my money where my mouth is, I swear, just give Lance a new figure ASAP. Second series, Kota Ibushi, Sonata, Naito, and...
Evil.
But do they put in 3 LIJ guys?
Why not? Or you push 2 of the LIJs off to Series 3 and put GOD in the set. Now, I'm not talking GOD Okada. I'm talking Guerrillas of Destiny. Stop it. Just stop. You're gushing over there, Jeff. Settle down.
He's an angel.
How do you go from a god to an angel? You're downgrading him.
Oh, sorry. He's everything in the sun and in the sky.
He's my moon and stars. Put GOD, Guerrillas of Destiny, in Series 2 and move 2 of the LIJ guys to Series 3. It would be awesome to see how the Tama Tonga, who is one of FTC's finest figures created, how FTC would match up to a Super 7 Tama Tonga. And you've got to think that with the alternate heads, one would have face paint and one would not. That's like tailor-made for a Super 7 figure. So I think Gorillas of Destiny would be a nice fit into the NJPW line. Again, I'm not an NJPW guy as much as you are, Jeff, so I kind of defer to you. But I think GOD should absolutely be included in Series 2 or at the very latest Series 3.
You know what? I take back Evil. They have to have a junior champion in there, and the current junior champion is Takahashi.
God bless Takahashi, dude. We saw him break his neck in San Francisco, and I was blown away with that guy to the point where he was like a favorite of mine in NJPW, and it was tragic when he had the broken neck, and you're like, man, this guy's never going to wrestle again. But God bless him, he came back. He won that title. I think it was at Wrestle Kingdom, right?
Yes.
And so he basically came back, got his title right back. Perfect call by NJPW. I'm a big fan of him and would love to see him in Series 3.
Dude, maybe Saturday when we hang out, I have to show you his match against, the former Dragon Lee, now Ryu Lee, the guy that injured him back in San Francisco.
Okay, is that the same Dragon Lee that's in ROH?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
But I have to show you his match against him at the last pay-per-view. Dude, the match was just as crazy as the San Francisco one. The first 5 minutes was them chopping each other in the chest.
I love it. That was hands down my favorite match of that San Francisco show, to the point I still remember it now. And like, that's the moment I became a huge fan of his. And it was just crushing when I saw the news after that he had broken his neck. But I'm so happy to see him back in the ring now. That guy is incredible, and great call on NJPW's part to put the title back on him immediately when he came back. And I'd love to watch that match with you. And I think that he is tailor-made, especially if he's going to come with Daryl, to be in Series 3.
Thank you, Josh Thompson, for your weekly questions. Scott, it is time to jump into the first round of Marcho Madness 2020.
They think it's all a game, but I ain't come to play. After me, I can promise it ain't gonna feel the same. Don't matter what they say, I won't ever change. I ball so hard, they calling me the game.
Scott, Marcho Madness 2020 is here, and the first round is all said and done. So let's go down the list, Scott. 1 versus 16. Macho Man Series 1 versus the Hulkster Hug, Hulk Hogan Series 2. Macho wins 61-10.
Wow. Landslide.
Huge landslide. Number 2 seed Bret Hart Series 8 versus number 15 seed Road Warrior Animal. Bret Hart wins 53-8.
Oh, okay, I'm seeing a trend. Apparently we didn't seed these very well, or maybe we did because the low seed's getting bumped.
Number 3 seed Smash took on Warlord. And Smash won that one 38-22.
Okay, that's a little bit closer.
It is a little bit closer. Number 5 versus number 12. Number 5, Razor Ramon versus number 12 seed Giant Gonzalez. Razor won 49-18.
Okay. Got it. One close match so far.
Number 6 seed Ludwig Borga taking on the number 11 seed 1-2-3 Kid. This is the Battle of the Green Cards. Ludwig wins 44-15.
Man, really?
Yes. Gets a little closer here as we go along. Brian Knobbs from the tag team 2-pack Nasty Boys, number 7 seed, took on the Ultimate Warrior in white trunks, number 10 seed. Ultimate Warrior wins 42-15.
Wow, lower seed prevails in a blowout. That Brian Knobbs doesn't get enough love, man.
It doesn't. I love it as well, but lost to the Ultimate Warrior Series 2. And Scott, 8 versus 9. Dusty Rhodes, number 8, versus Adam Bomb, green card, number 9 seed. Tied.
Uh-oh.
36-36.
Judges?
So, Scott, there is only one way to settle a conflict.
Fisticuffs, baby.
Rochambeau.
Okay. I'll be Adam Bomb. You be Dusty. And I'll go first. I will Rochambeau you first.
Or we can flip a coin.
Sounds less painful. Let's go that route.
So, Scott, I'm going to flip this penny that I just found on the ground in your daughter's room.
Wait, what?
Yes, that is actually a fact.
That just happened?
Heads will be Dusty. Tails will be Adam Bomb. Scott. Heads it is. Dusty Rhodes, number 8 seed, moves on. So that is the Hasbro series. We only did 32 figures this year to kind of keep it shorter because Scott and I want to go to Tampa and enjoy ourselves. Past few years, I've had to monitor Marcho Madness while in the WrestleMania host city. And I just kind of want to shorten it up and kind of have fun in Tampa without having to worry about this. So, Hasbros are done. There will be an updated checklist so you guys can follow along. Over to the retro side, because what we did this year is we had Hasbros on one side, we had retros on the other, because we knew that everybody would be voting Hasbro over retro. So maybe one or two retros would have beaten a Hasbro, but we decided this year that it was time to keep them separated and then have the finals be a retro versus a Hasbro. So over on the right side of the bracket, Scott, number 1 seed Kane Retro took on the number 16 seed Chris Jericho, La Champion. Kane defeated Chris Jericho 48-17.
Oof. I figured that one would be a little bit closer. Like Jericho at number 16, see, that's a very, very solid retro figure, but apparently nowhere near as good as Kane.
And also, Jericho came with the scarf, so he had an accessory, yeah.
Yep.
Scott, number 2 seed Ric Flair Retro took on number 15 seed Mankind Retro. Any guesses?
I'm going to say Flair blew Mankind out of the water.
Ric Flair did beat Mankind 35-21.
You know, that Mankind figure's good. It's the sleeves.
A lot of people have that same gripe.
Yeah, it's the shirt, man. If they had just a little more attention to detail, I think that Mankind actually seeds a little bit higher and doesn't have to face that great Ric Flair figure in the first round. But later, Mankind.
Going on to the next seeds. Number 3 seed Iron Sheik took on Braun Strowman, number 14 seed. Scott, Iron Sheik defeated Braun Strowman. I thought I wouldn't be saying that today.
Or ever.
39 votes to 25 votes. Iron Sheik moves on to the next round. Next up, JYD Retro taking on Crow Sting Retro. Number 4 JYD, number 13 Crow Sting. JYD beats Crow Sting 38 votes to 15 votes.
Not even close.
Nope.
Sting got thumped.
Going up, number 5 seed Macho Man took on number 12 seed Elias. This is the Macho Man in the green trunks. Macho Man beat Elias 39-23 votes, Scott.
You think it would have been a little bit closer if it was the Macho Madness as opposed to his traditional 80s look Macho Man?
No, knowing our listener base, I think the green trunks Macho Man was the right call.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I'm wondering if it would have been any closer, though.
No, I don't think so.
Nah, Elias wouldn't have had a fighting chance either way.
Nope, not even close. Going up, number 6 seed Undertaker from Series 1, taking on number 11 seed Nakamura. Undertaker defeated Nakamura 40-14.
These are just landslides.
Right?
These aren't even close.
The retros were very lopsided. Number 7 versus number 10. Number 7 Goldust Retro taking on number 10 Randy Orton Retro. 49 votes for Goldust, 8 votes for Randy Orton. Only 8.
Wow. He didn't even hit double digits. Wow. I mean, look, I thought this was going to be a lot closer. I know Goldust had the accessory of the wig, but man, that Randy Orton's really good.
I know, right?
He didn't even break double digits.
Nope.
Sad.
And Scott, to round out the first round, number 8 seed Diesel Retro took on number 9 seed AJ Styles Retro. Diesel defeated AJ Styles 43 votes to 13 votes.
Wow. Apparently, I will say this for that round of retros, the listeners are very, very passionate about who the better retro is.
Absolutely. So, Scott, that ends the first round. The second round will pick up soon, and we will have that for you next week. Scott, we are going to round out the show right there. Next week, we are going to pick up right where we left off on the defining moments in the nostalgia segment, so that will be back next week. Scott, I also want to plug Ryan over at Wrestling Toy Tracker over there. He has the prices over the past 3 months for Hasbro's, Galoobs, LJNs, WWE Retros. He takes the prices off of eBay, calculates them, sold listings, all that stuff, puts it into a spreadsheet and puts it up on his website. So if you are in the market for any of those figures, carded, loose, whatever it may be, go check out Wrestling Toy Tracker or on Twitter at toy_tracker. Scott, Eagle Moss.
Yes, Eagle Moss. If you have a WWE or pop culture fan in your life and you're looking for a gift for that person, look no further than Eagle Moss. You can give them a follow on Twitter at HeroCollector_. They've got a bunch of properties under their umbrella, from WWE to Battlestar Galactica to Star Trek to DC, you name it, they've got it. If you have a pop culture fan or WWE fan in your life and you need a gift for them, definitely go check out Eagle Moss on Twitter at HeroCollector_. They've got a great line of the WWE statues. We love them. I'm a big fan of them. I think they look great. They're in a full color box, full color magazine of the featured statue that's inside the box on the back of the package. Definitely worth your coin. Give them a look on Twitter again at HeroCollector_.
Scott, also, I want to push that FOCO code one more time. FOCO.com. Use the code at checkout WFP10. That'll save you 10%. Works on anything. WWE bobbleheads, baseball bobbleheads, hockey, basketball, football. They've got the license. Check it out. Just place your order and then use that code WFP10 at checkout and you'll get 10% off. Scott, off to the podcast buddies. Obviously, I want to start off with Breaker and Bane. You know, those are our two buddies over there. We're going to be podcasting with Breaker in Tampa. I'm so excited. Don't know if it's going to be for his show or for our show, but either way, just the fact that we get to sit down live with him is something that I've only thought about. I never thought it would ever come true, and sure enough, it's happening in Tampa. I can't wait. But in the meantime, go check out Breaker and Bane's Power Hour on iTunes at Breaker and Bane's Power Hour. While you're over there, why don't you subscribe to Breaker's little side project, Back to the Nintendo, where him and his tag team partner, Brett, also play Nintendo games. They play the game and then they give their review. Does it hold up today? Doesn't? They also give a price of the cartridge. Go check them out. Back to the Nintendo. Scott, that beard, those flyaways. I don't even know what a flyaway is, but man, that thing's contained.
It's getting more majestic every week. Well, that's really because I need to go get a haircut and a beard trim. But regardless of the length of my beard, it is kept in check by Bane's amazing beard products, which you can find on Facebook. Check out Outsiders Beard Company. Bane has a great selection of beard balms, beard oils, different scents, and I can vouch for the balm and the oil. The balm keeps those flyaways really packed down and contained, and the oil just gives it a nice look. I feel I have a healthy coat with my shiny beard and no flyaways. It looks fantastic. You'll think so too when you see it at the Fig Life meetup April 3rd at Tampa Stadium Wing House. If you don't want your beard hairs smelling like your butt hairs, go check out Bane's Facebook page, Outsiders Beard Company. Take a look at what he has to offer. You won't be disappointed.
Also on Friday, April 3rd, Tampa Stadium Wing House, we want everyone, men, women, to run their hands through Scott's beard.
Okay, well, look, Shanna might not be a big fan of that, but, 2 shots of Jaeger, we can talk.
Hey, we'll try to get Pete Dunne at the meetup.
Oh, you jerk.
That's a callback to drunk wrestling history. Don't listen to that episode.
I hate you with every ounce of my being right now.
Check out Eric and Barry Doing the Favor podcast. Figures and merchandise. They go over everything from pro wrestling tees to figures to everything under the sun to Barry's healthy diet and everything that he eats to keep himself lean, mean, buffed, cut, ripped, chiseled, and jacked.
Swole.
Go check out Doing the Favor podcast. Also, I mentioned him earlier, PPW podcast. Steve and Eric do a wonderful job. This week it was 10 random questions to each other. That was pretty fun. I told the story about Eric. There was a bunch of other fun stories in there. Go listen to that. PPW podcast on iTunes. Positively Pro Wrestling podcast. Also, I'm happy to announce that there will be a special interview with Marty DeRosa coming up, dropping soon. Scott and I will be recording with him here shortly in the next few days. Can't wait for that to drop. But in the meantime, go check out Marty and Sarah Love Wrestling on iTunes. And Scott, you went a little blue on your drunk wrestling this past Friday.
A little blue is putting it mildly. Again, I hope if you did check out the Drunk Wrestling History podcast last week, that you didn't listen with your kids. Because listening back, I'm like, I am never drinking that much again when I record. It was the first one out of the chute. I had the strongest of drunk feeling going through me, and that episode's way back there. We just dropped the Mount Rushmore episode, which coincides with President's Day this past week. So, if you are interested, you could check that out, where the host Adam and Eddie and myself go over our Mount Rushmores of wrestling, and Eddie goes into detail about why he thinks the whole concept is stupid. So, if you're interested, give us a look on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you pick up your podcasts from, wherever you're listening to this on. Drunk Wrestling History's on there too. Give us a follow on Twitter at wrestling_drunk, where we're not always accurate, but we are always drunk.
I can't believe nobody mentioned Mandy Rose, by the way.
It's funny that you mentioned that because she came up about 3 episodes. Now, remember, when you do a drunk wrestling podcast, you get all of your recordings in a day. And she actually came up like 4 episodes later. And I don't remember which episode it was during, but Ed's like, I can't believe nobody mentioned Mandy Rose during the Hot or Not episode. And I think like nobody wanted to take somebody else's answer, so nobody else brought her up. Because I really had like 2 that I really wanted to make sure people knew about, which
was Charlie Caruso and Pete Dunne. Go ahead.
The hate is still pouring through me into you. I hope you're getting a sense of this.
Don't you wish Ed would edit?
Yeah, okay. Right. Yeah. Ed edits about as much as Ralphus worked out back in the day. But anyway, move past the Valentine's Day episode. Check out the Mount Rushmore episode. But yeah, we realized about 4 episodes later that nobody mentioned Mandy Rose, and it was kind of an oops. So maybe we'll have a redo when I'm not as drunk later on. Much later on.
Scott, roll call.
Yes. First off, I want to throw out a huge thanks to Jason Wolf, who is working with me right now on the Series 3 card back shirt. Thank you, everyone that has gotten me your information. We are getting to work on the shirt, and I just want to throw out a huge thanks to Jason Wolf, not just for doing the artwork, but for being easy to work with, a flexible schedule. He's just nice, personable. I really enjoy working with Jason, and I just want to throw out a huge thank you to him because, you know, every once in a while there's edits or whatever, and he enjoys working with us, but I think more than that, we just love working with him, as do Breaker and Bane. So I just want to throw out a huge thank you to Jason Wolf. Give him a follow on Twitter at JasonWLF. Let me throw it out now, Jeff, to the figure photographers. First up, the great Sean Welch. Give him a follow on Twitter at Sean, that's SEAN, Welch Photos. Next up, Unboxed Alliance. Give him a follow on Twitter at Unboxed Alliance. Next up, V-Trigger Figs. Give him a follow on Twitter at V-Trigger Figs. And last, but certainly not least, the great Ralphie Vibes, ladies and gentlemen. Give him a follow on Instagram at Elite Figure Vibes. And Vibes is spelled V as in Victor, Y, B as in boy, Z. If you want to follow a great figure photographer and a hell of a guy, look no further than Ralphie Vibes. And Jeff, that rounds out roll call.
Scott, before we go, I also want to throw out one other figure photographer at Greco, GRECO _ Lector, LLECTOR17. He is starting back up his figure photography. He's doing some good work. Check him out. Also, I really want to thank your buddy CJ for all of his hard work on the Marcho Madness. So, Scott, for episode 214, anything else?
Fig License 2016, and happy toy hunting.
I want to thank everyone for listening to episode 214, #FigLife. Adios.
FullyPoseable. Let's go. Jeff and Scott, the two brothers, busting out the ring, but we don't take it out the box. MOC. Happy toy hunting. We'll see you next week with the OGs of WFP. FullyPoseable. Thank you all for listening. It ain't no storyline, real life siblings. So everybody go and do your toy spotting. #FigLife. Adios from the Kings.